welcome to the Ford Listening Room at the Ark. I'm so happy to have you here tonight. My name is Jennifer, and I'm one of the night managers here. Thank you so much for joining us for this month's Artist Spotlight Series, sponsored by our friends at Food Gatherers and with support from the Ford Motor Company Fund. Those of you here in person should have received some raffle tickets as you entered. Make sure to hold on to those because at the conclusion of tonight's performance, I will be giving away a couple pairs of tickets to an upcoming show of your choice, so make sure you stick around for that. I always want to start out also by giving a big thanks to all of you who are members of this wonderful nonprofit music venue. We could not do what we do here without your support. You make these wonderful evenings all possible, almost 300 nights of the year, so thank you so much for your support. And for those of you who happen to be tuning in and watching us on our live stream, you can show your appreciation for tonight's performance by clicking on the virtual tip jar, which you can find pinned to the comment section of the live stream. And another group of people who I also want to thank tonight are all of the friendly faces that you've seen working so hard around our club. Those are our volunteers. They put in thousands of hours each year and make this such a great listening room experience. Please give a round of applause to all of our great volunteers working tonight. We really appreciate them. And then finally, before we begin, just a couple quick house rules. For those of you here in person, now is a great time to take a moment to silence your cell phones. And also please remember that there's no recording and no flash photography. And with that, we are ready to begin. So please welcome to the stage, Rachael Kilgour.
Thanks for knowing my name. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for coming in tonight. I know that it's beautiful outside. You can leave still if you want. But if you'd like to stay, I thought I might introduce you to my dad. My dad worked hard from the time he was young to win the respect of his father and the love of his mom, and nobody had high hopes for the scrappy farm kid. But nobody loved a challenge like my old man did. So with his hands in his sweat, with a hammer and a cigarette, long hours in the hot sun, he built a foundation, laid for dinner every night, a sunburn and an appetite. In the end, he seemed to do all right, with 3 kids and a frugal wife. My dad worked hard, and yours work harder. Is that what his thriving investments prove? I'm not saying that he didn't earn the right to take it easy. I'm just saying that I'm pretty sure my dad did too. He got the job done right. No, you couldn't call him lazy, and he wouldn't overcharge you, not like the big names did. He'd build a house from the ground up, run the numbers in his head. He'd make enough to feed the family and make it home to tuck me into bed. And he never gave up till his body gave in and his mind grew thin. can tell how time will treat you. She's a great deceiver. But now he's home every night. He's home every day too. He needs help getting out of his chair and can't remember how to tie his shoes. I've been looking for the safety net, the one that's supposed to catch him when we can't afford the care he needs. And he worked his whole goddamn life. My dad worked hard. Did yours work harder? Is that what a comfortable retirement proves? I'm not saying that he didn't earn the right to take it easy. I'm just saying that I'm pretty sure my dad did too. Thank you very much. My dad, Mr. Bob Kilgour, was he was a pretty good guy. He was all right. He was a builder, a contractor by trade, and he taught me a lot about how to fix stuff. And he was also an immigrant. He was born and raised in southern Ontario and had the great misfortune of falling in love with my mother, who's from the States. Just referencing the last song, I don't know, he might have kept health care at least intact had he stayed in Canada. But anyway, immigrated here with my mom and raised us in Minnesota, where I am from. And I think about them often, my parents, like one does. I like the thing about how if you have kids, we all set out to do our very best with our children, and some of us more than others kind of obsess over just what a big responsibility is, and how in the end it really doesn't matter if you're good or bad. It does matter, obviously. Like, you want to try your best, but regardless, you are the thing that your kids are going to talk about in therapy the most. And it's true. My parents just come up an awful lot. I think about this huge move, this big chance that my dad took, that my parents both took on one another. And it always seemed very impractical to me growing up. I was the baby of the family, and my parents had been together, 15 years already by the time I was born. And is that right? Maybe 12. Anyway, they'd been together over a decade, and there just wasn't a lot of evidence of affection between them. All of my childhood, it just seemed like they were very much tolerating one another. And I thought, what in the world makes two people come together over thousands of miles who really can't stand one another? And then what my brain told me was that obviously there was something good at the start, that I was the product of some great love story, just like I longed to be. There wasn't much evidence of it anymore, and it didn't really matter how much I asked. I don't know if this is true in Michigan, but Minnesota moms are understated. My mom likes to chronically underreact to every single thing that happens. And I once watched her slam her finger in a door in front of the grandkids, and she just went, oof. And that's how she approaches love, too. Just kind of there, you're good enough. You're nothing special. But you'll do. And I remember just longing from, especially once I got to be like a preteen. What was it like when you met Dad? What did you like about him? Tell me about your wedding. Just like trying to get any stories I could out of her. And it was always just like, well, we met on this date. These two people introduced us. We played a game of cribbage.
there wasn't much to work with. So anyway, I decided to write the story myself. It is my job anyway. We learn a lot about love from what we see in our homes, don't we? On a piece of drafting paper, 18 by 24, just before the metric system moved its way across the north, a young man wrote a letter, wrote the longest letter ever to his girl back in the States, and that's how I was made. She was bright and level-headed and quick to rail against the rules, and he was kind and playful, determined and true, and so they built a life together. 6 months and then forever in a church back in the States, and that's how I was made. This is love. This when can I see it? The rushing in blind, that you're on my mind. This is love. But let the clock run a decade or two, and what do you have left but a sense of obligation and the memories of romance and the children outside playing, the mortgage that needs paying? Was it all a mistake? And that's how I was made. This is love. This sticking it out, the yearn to escape and the choosing to stay. This is love. She'll ask if he ate, and she'll make him a plate, and he'll remember Valentine roses. Time takes two lovers and turns them to family, familiar, but no less devoted, to bend and never break. Yes, that's how I was made. This is love. This seeing it through, the asking for help and the bedside farewell. This is love. This is love. This house is too quiet, and all the reminders of two lives lives intertwined. This is love. Thank you very much. My parents, I like to say that my parents' relationship is better than ever since my dad passed. It really has brought out the best in their connection. Yeah, I don't know if any of you have experienced that loss of one parent and not the other, and maybe they're like a tenuous time to get a lot of nagging, a lot of just like displeasure with one, specifically coming from my mom at my dad. Ugh, why'd you do that again? And now it's, just suddenly in his absence, she has a lot of nice things to say. Remember when he used to do this? That was nice. Why couldn't I have had that my whole life? But that's how it is. Aren't we all like that? Oof. Did I not bring a capo out here? Guys, this is awkward, but I'm going to have to exit the stage and get a capo, otherwise the rest of the show is off. 1 second. Unless none of you has one in their pocket, do you? All right, I'm going. Okay, don't. BRB. Just watch it fall down. Yeah, I'm sure. You'll catch it. Okay, thanks. That's better. Yeah, ta-da. Thank you. Thank you so much. I did think, I think this is probably true of any of us, like I said, that our parents and their relationship really form how we approach our own romantic relationships. And I was married quite young and then divorced also quite young and found myself just utterly surprised by the fact that people can get divorced. And specifically that I just watched my parents, two of the most annoying people in the universe, stay married forever. And if this person who I had chosen to love me, had given up so soon, what kind of piece of trash am I? It was really upsetting. Trying to make my brain wrap around that. It was such a mess, and so rooted in this. I was thinking about this era when we're children and turning into adolescence, and how suddenly there's a switch that goes on where you can see everything that's wrong with you. Little kids don't think about that so much. Even shy little kids, they don't know why they're shy, and they figure they maybe don't want to talk, or they don't want to be asked about their day, but they still figure that they might potentially be the president at any moment. And then you hit some stage when you're 11 or 12 and you realize everything that's wrong with you. And I had a moment when my dad died where I looked at him and thought, gosh, I'm an awful lot like this guy. And here he is dying, and here I am loving him, and there's no part of me that thinks, it would make him better. As if his arms hadn't been so disproportionately long to his body. My arms are too long for my body. My hands, they're too big for my arms.
waste my time wishing that I were proportionate, and my skin's too thin for my family. How they laugh at my sensitive ways. Whether I'm happy or sad, I cry just like my dad. But I'm proud to let it be named. I may be soft, but I am not ashamed. And isn't it brave to take what you've been given, the parts you kept hidden, the traits you denied, to find a strength in what looked like a weakness? Take your old family secrets and wear them with pride. So if your cheeks burn red when you're nervous, if your hair curls tight in the heat, know we all came from someplace. You've got your great-grandmother's face, and walk the earth with your ancestors. Steady feet. Isn't it brave to take what you've been given, the parts you kept hidden, the traits you denied, to find a strength in what looked like a weakness? Take your old family secrets and wear them with pride.
I love this is a very casual thing that you agreed to initially, you know? Like, sure, we'll come see a song. It's just a Tuesday. It's artist spotlight. We don't need to even know her name. That's fine. You don't need to remember my name. But I did plan on just singing you an entire funeral of dad songs. And I do hope you're handling it okay. Oh, Dad. I have this new record that I put out about him, and I like it. I like putting out to make work about someone who lived such an ordinary life. I think often the people who have great works made about them have done extraordinary things and hold a special place in society. And I like that my dad was just an ordinary working guy who tried to be trustworthy and loving and not screw up too bad. And in the end, when he passed, I just found myself writing about him incessantly. And it was kind of a shock to me because my dad hadn't really been my confidant. He hadn't been, he was always physically present and really lit up when he saw me when I walked in the room, and he gave a good hug, but we didn't talk a lot. He wasn't my advisor. So it really kind of, I knew because he had dementia for the last years of his life that it would be coming soonish, and I didn't anticipate how much it would knock me off course, or how much there was to discover about Dad after the fact, all these things that I hadn't been able to figure out while he was still here. I'm going to sing you this is the first song I wrote after he died, bear with me. It's not a funny one, but I think maybe you can identify with this, like, it's like the immediate aftermath of someone who, if they did nothing else, were just very physically constant in your life. From the moment you were born, and suddenly all you could feel was their absence, and also the fact that no one ever really convinced you to believe in any kind of religion that would give you solace. Okay, here we go. Name your faith and hold to it tight. We all know how this ends. We all claim to be right. But will a myth save your soul? Do you have one to begin with? How can you be sure? I sit quiet and still with the ghost of my father until it's clear why he's dead. I'm here, but where is he exactly? What's beyond, no one knows, but the ghost of my father, the ghost. Are the fates predetermined? Am I acting a part? Oh, the burden of consciousness, the break of the heart. And tell me what makes a life worth living or ending at the edge of the night. I sit quiet and still with the ghost of my father until it is clear why he's dead and I'm here. But where is he exactly? What's beyond, no one knows, but the ghosts of our fathers, the ghosts surely know. Well, I'm pointlessly searching. Won't someone assure me, or will my efforts be wasted? My existence erased in my ragged last breath. Oh, look at me, death. Look me straight in the eye. What does a dying man owe us? Should he wear a brave face? Make the leaving look easy. Surrender with grace. But you were frightened and small when the tether gave way. And I have not forgotten. No, I am not the same. I sit quiet and still with the ghost of my father, hoping he'll make it clear why he's dead. don't ever sing that one on stage. So there we go. We did it. Got through it. I'm not afraid to be sad in front of other human beings. Aren't we all sad sometimes? And it's not necessarily sad. I think it became very clear in the absence of my dad's presence that my sadness was just profound love for him. And who wants to go through life not loving people? So I'm not apologizing for getting sad there for a second, but I am going to slightly lighten the mood. This is what I hope my dad was like as a kid. From all accounts, he was a very lovable little shit. And I like that for him. You're gonna give your mother a heart attack, climbing on the rafters of the barn like that. Get your feet on the ground, your chores done fast before the bus comes. Strong as an ox, stubborn as a mule, you're still smaller than most of the boys at school. The dinner bell rings, you'll eat your weight in food if they let you. At least that's how I imagine you, the kid version of a man that I once knew. Racing your bike down a tree-lined street, a notch in your belt for every tractor you beat, the dog at your side and the dirt in the heat of the afternoon sun. Dressed for church in your Sunday best and your holiest socks in honor of the blessed Savior. Neighbors, family, and friends gathered around you. Everyone's a sinner and everyone's a saint. A small town living where everybody knows your name. There goes Bobby with his eyes of blue, the kid version of a man that I once knew. And did you rule the rink when the temperature dropped, like Bobby Holt taking a slap shot, like Bobby Orr dancing on ice, your namesake's on your mind, but you were one of a kind, Bobby. Mind your little sister, little mom cans of peaches. Swear it wasn't her fault when she screeches. Get outside and leave the kitchen in peace just for once. All the aunts and uncles around the piano, cowboy tunes and gospel like the Grand Ole Opry right there in your living room, long past bedtime. Who did you know? Who did you love? What kind of life were you dreaming of? And sometimes I like to imagine you, the kid version of a man that I once knew. Thanks. I think Dad likes that one the best. It's great. You know, the great, wonderful thing about dead parents is that you really, they can be whoever you need them to be. Like, in life, did Dad struggle with some things? Yes, he did. In death, he is super enlightened. He gives me all the validation I need. He loves this project, and specifically super loves when I tell all of his most vulnerable bits to strangers. Or when I take a guess at what his emotional landscape was like behind that, I don't know, inaccessible facade. He loves it, but also Live Dad would have specifically loved that song. He names his favorite hockey players. It's kind of up-tempo. My dad came from a really musical family, and it like very clearly skipped a generation. He was extremely tone deaf, and rhythm just had no understanding of rhythm whatsoever. But it was like a really soft place in his heart every time I knew the words to an old song that he grew up with. His dad and his dad's family had a family band, and they would all harmonize together. And sometimes I like to sing a song that he used to know, and perhaps you do too. From this valley they say we're going, we will miss your bright eyes and sweet smile. For they say you are taking the sunshine that has brightened our pathway a while. Come and sit by my side if you love me. Do not hasten to bid me adieu, but remember the Red River Valley and the one who has loved you so true. You so true, you so true. Won't you think of this valley you're leaving? Oh, how lonesome, how sad it will be. I'll think of the fond heart you're breaking and the pain that you're causing me. Causing me, causing me. I come from, on my mom's side anyway, a family of folks that don't leave. We stay put. My mom is one of 11 children, and nearly all of them still live in Duluth, Minnesota. there's just no reason to. That's kind of the vibe. Just like, you have everything you need. We're all here. Why do you have to think you're? Well, I think that's part of it. You don't want to perceive yourself to be too special to like not have your needs met in your hometown where everyone else is. So I found myself. My dad had. I don't think I've said this yet, but my dad had Lewy body dementia, which is horrible and also very hard to like predict the like speed at which this is true of time and death in all sorts, but in this case, and he wasn't doing particularly well, but also, he might live with that for another decade or two. And the question was, in my early 30s, having opportunities to go and do other things and to follow my dreams, whatever the hell that means, should I stay put and be with Dad? Or should I go and do the thing? And it was a very hard decision, but I ultimately decided to move to Boston. And it was a scary move. I got a lot of gentle support by way of teasing, laced with shame by my family. Oh no, go fight, it's gonna be fine. Anyway, my dad always really loved that I played music, and I know had he been able to conceive of what was going on, he would have been excited for me. But I did leave, and it was a very hard thing to do. And literally 1 month later, God punished me by killing my father. That's not accurate, but it did feel that way a little bit. Yeah, it was a month after I had moved away. My dad died. And it was unexpected and so fast. I did get to come home and say goodbye, and I was really grateful for that. But then I thought, oh my God, if I had any idea what was going to happen right now, I never would have left. So I don't know if you guys have, I'm sure you do, have stories like that about people that you've loved and lost and the regret that you're left with for the time you missed out on with them. This one was for you. Changing of the seasons from summer into fall. And 3 years ago I flew back home after that call. The birch leaves fade yellow and maple turns to red, and it was just the other day that I remembered you were dead. Oh, it was just the other day. And the day before that too. Not 1 hour is past that I don't think of losing you. Now who'll be my fortress at the end of the world? I don't need to talk about it. I just want some place to. I just want some place to curl up, small and be protected, like the child that I once was, like how you'd hold me just because. Master of my fate, and by the time I realized what I had done, it was too late. And I wonder if you knew how soon death would come for you. Did you miss me? Did you wish that I'd stayed back to help you through? Will you be my fortress at the end of the world? I don't need to talk about it. I just want some place to curl up, small and be forgiven for the things I could not give. Squeeze me tight like I'm a kid. try it all again. My head upon your chest, your golden girl returned. I memorized your every breath and cursed the lesson I had learned. And you were strong as ever, right until the end. Your arms strung tight like Popeye, and your will would not be bent. Oh, but I couldn't stay for long. Day by day you still held on, so I kissed you on the forehead, had to leave just at dawn. And as the plane touched down 1,500 miles away, you took your final breath, and they called me just to say, will you be my fortress at the end of the world? I don't need to talk about it, I just want some place to curl up small and be reminded of what goodbye really means, like the smell of autumn leaves coming back to me. Thanks. Again, you really are being troopers. When I made this record, and I thought, I really want to do these like thematic show. There's just so much pressure in the industry to like make a product of yourself, to encourage kind of this like cult of personality and the parasocial. I really would genuinely prefer you forget I existed. You have my blessing, but I don't want the songs to be forgotten. And in this case, it was like this, this thing that just came out. It felt like giving birth. I mean, it was like giving death, but giving birth. Giving death. Okay. As the youth say, it was giving death, and I just really loved the song so much, and I thought I want to bring it almost like a theater production. Like here's, and we'll promote it like we'll warn people before they arrive in the theater that what they're about to see is me singing about my dead dad. And sometimes that scares people, but frankly, a lot of people have dead dads, or they have dads that will be dead eventually. That's the key. It's relatable, and the thing about dead moms too. That matter. It doesn't really matter. You can apply it to anyone, but there is something specific about dads, and like culturally, maybe it's something in how we've raised men and how they're allowed to connect with us, and the longing that often comes with fatherhood. Dads who are incredible and really show up and get us. Dads who are really horrible, awful, angry people that we don't want to be anything like. Dads who are completely absent. Dads who are really kind but also can never tell you that they love you or give you a hug because that's uncomfortable. And just like all of us have so many different versions of this. It feels so universal, and I just felt like I really want to do this. Anyway, the point of the story is I understand that this as like a free concert by the ARC about a new artist you've never heard of did not give you the trigger warning. So apologies, and thank you so much for still being here. Next up, I'd like to talk about body disposal. I know that, it's something that happens, doesn't it? This is the natural next song after what just happened. So, Dad dies, and there we all are. I'm not there, but everybody else is. everybody else is there, and we're sitting around. This is how I imagine it. I think they might have called me, so I felt like I was there. Yeah, and I've been there for other people's deaths. But, you sit around your loved one's body, and they're no longer breathing. They're apparently no longer there. And everyone maybe, if you're lucky, you get this moment with them, and everyone maybe tells some nice stories or some funny stories. So you're crying and you're laughing and you're having this last moment with this body that you've loved for so freaking long that you haven't memorized, and it's going to be hard to forget. And then suddenly you'll forget it and you'll get kind of freaked out about it. But in that moment, you get to it's the last time you get to feel what their hands feel like and their skin. And I just remember how maybe take a second just before I do this to think of someone that you've lost and the little idiosyncrasies of what makes a body someone's body. I think of the way my dad's collarbones kind of protruded out, and how calloused his hands were. And it's very hard to let go of the body, but we must. And how we let go of the body is a stranger comes in a car, and then they put it in a bag. And they drive it away, presumably to be put in a refrigerator with other bodies. Oh my God. And then another stranger, who's likely paid less, I'm guessing, takes them out, and depending on what you've chosen, lights them on fire. And then they say, okay, well, best of luck with your grieving process, or ever sleeping again. It's a very upsetting thing. And I wasn't home when it happened, but I just thought, oh my God, this is insane. This is akin to, but this is a very completely inappropriate reference, but akin to a kid who really loves to eat hamburgers, who's not quite sure where they come from. There's this whole middle process that none of us wants to think about. But if you're in the midst of grieving and you really loved someone, you can't help but think about it nonstop. I had a lot of invasive thoughts and nightmares about this. And so naturally I thought, why not write a song? It is hard. It is hard to let go of the bodies, but also what a beautiful lesson. Muscle bone. When I'm alone, sometimes I'll add up all the parts that made you whole, the flesh and cartilage, and all I know is if we go to worms or go to flames, it's all the same. It's just an end and a beginning. No one's lost and no one's winning. So light the funeral pyre. Heart literally on fire. Close your eyes, love. Say goodbye, love. Let it burn. Now you sit upon a shelf inside a box, inside a house that you once built with wood and plaster, framing nails and window glass, and I'm sure Mom will dust you off from time to time and try her best not to think too hard about the ending. And the heat of the funeral pyre, your heart literally on fire. Close your eyes, love. Say goodbye, love. The temple turned to ashes. we'll sell the house, we'll move Mom out, and someone new will chop the wood and clean the gutters, run the dehumidifier, and a body's like a home. It's just a vessel overgrown with all the love that you put in it. Without borders, love's infinite. So light the funeral pyre. Heart literally on fire. Close your eyes, love. Say goodbye, love. Let it burn. Smoke rise like memories and linger with me, but let it burn. I feel like it must be said, whenever I do interviews about this, people will, actually, it really depends on the age of the audience, first off. Sometimes I feel like younger people are maybe more adjusted to speaking about grief, and sometimes audience members will come up to me and be like, "Are you okay?" Or, "It'll get better, dear." Or, "Wow, you really experienced horrible." This isn't that. People die. Parents especially, like if you're lucky, die before you, and natural, just part of life. It is still brings up a lot of feelings for me, and sometimes I cry. But I just feel like I need to reassure you that I am okay. Maybe not about some other stuff, but about my dad's death, I feel like very accepting that he's not here anymore, and I am a new person and different than I was before he left, and maybe like I'm bigger and have room to hold on to him as well as myself, and that's pretty lovely. So don't feel sad for me. I did take these songs back to Dad's homeland of Canada. I asked my friend and very talented songwriter, Rose Cousins, if you have not heard of her, you should, to produce the record. She is not only very talented, but she's Canadian, and I wanted to make it a Canadian record for Dad because he's a very patriotic guy, and maybe more so because he moved to the States and he missed his homeland. So it was always part of our upbringing, and frankly, as a privileged little white girl, it was very exciting to be exotic and half Canadian. We would take these long road trips through the Great Lakes and to visit my grandparents in southern Ontario, and I always really enjoyed it. I got along with Dad's family quite well, and the road trip was the only time we got treats, so it's very fun. And I realized as I got older that Dad had a little bit of a hurt heart for being the one who left, just like I did. Oh, I have to give you a heads up. It's going to name some Michigan places, and I need you to know that I do know it is pronounced Mackinac, but as a child I did not. And so we're going to say it that way because it rhymes well. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your forgiveness. Riding in the back seat makes me car sick. Make sure that your sister's got a bucket. It'll be a long drive. To your father's side of the border, Superior Lake, Michigan, and Erie, annual pilgrimage to prove our place
folks in the family stop at the big boy in Marquette. Can I get a root beer? Are we there yet? Send a postcard from Christmas. Hit the truck stop in St. Ignace before we cross the Mackinac and on through to the green tobacco fields of southern Ontario. Do you still love my father, Ontario? Could you love a trader's daughter? Bowling 5-pin at the alley on the corner. Grab a donut from Tim Hortons. Get my accent back in order. Grandma's elderberry pie and Grandpa's yard sale finds, and by leaving time I'm Canadian again. But Dad, do you ever get homesick? How come they never visit? And when you're working so hard, are you just trying to forget? Are you just trying to forget? Ontario, do you still love my father, Ontario? Could you love a trader's daughter? Driving through the night when I was older, it was my turn at the wheel, but Dad said move on over, getting back. So I sat and thought about how easily he falls asleep when he's reading, watching TV. Is it safe to shut my eyes? Oh God. The car rolled once. The car rolled twice. The car rolled. The glass broke before I heard the sirens cry. I was sure that I had died. Riding in the backseat makes me nervous. Love, don't bring it up, it isn't worth it. You ought to bury it deep, 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 bury it deep. Like your dad does, bury it deep, 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 bury it deep. Like your dad does. Okay, I've just got one more for you. I have always made a habit of writing songs about the things that
I find difficult to say out loud in conversation, so that's not anything quite new. But this specific incident, luckily no one in my family, it was a very bad accident, and it could have been a lot worse. Everyone survived, and but it did really wreak havoc on the family, and there was suddenly this wall of silence about this thing that had happened that we couldn't talk about it, and we couldn't talk about it because my dad couldn't apologize, and he couldn't apologize because he couldn't forgive himself for insisting on driving when everybody knew he was going to fall asleep. This is my car, damn it. Very classic dad move. But it did, he just carried so much guilt and shame about it, and that was not rare for my dad. Maybe not for your dad either. Some are better at others than at hiding it. But I think often for generations and generations, men have been, a lot of pressure has been put on them to be, to be unwavering and heroic, to provide for their families and be physically strong and kind of like inaccessible in a way. And I think my dad really felt those pressures and tried his best to live up to them, and constantly felt like he was failing, which is so sad to me. And I'm going to sing you one last song off the record, and I guess what I'm trying to say is that I made this record, yes, because I needed to process, I guess my dad is dead, and I guess there were all these things I didn't know about him. Making sense of mortality, making sense of what I inherited from him, but also it felt like this opportunity to just celebrate the hell out of him, and just kind of beam out forgiveness, to be able to write these songs that were very honest and admitted to the very hard parts about him, but loved him anyway, because I think we probably all deserve that. I'm going to leave you with this one last one. It is a title track off the new record. I hope you will stop and buy a CD, or if not that, you may stream it. I have other things for sale out there as well. It's true, I'm irrelevant and you can forget me, but also it's awfully hard having a career when you're constantly being forgotten. So if you want to sign up for my mailing list, that'd be super helpful. Also, I'll be playing on Friday in Kalamazoo and on Saturday in Traverse City. So if you have friends in the area, please do send them my way. It's kind of my first run through Michigan with this work, and I would love to have people in the audience. Last song, here we go. Here's to Bob, here's to your dads, and all of you. Thanks for sticking this out with me. Also, obviously, thanks so much to the ARC and everyone here at Clay for running sound, and all the volunteers. Thank you very much.
There's a sharp-looking man with a farmer's tan in my baby book. Shoulders back, he leaned into a broken world. He had a head of curls like his baby girl and a devilish grin. He was a tender-hearted trickster, and I'm a lot like him. My father loved me when he could not love himself. He put his faith in me. When he was certain he would fail, so when the world has been unkind and doubts weigh on my mind, I try and love myself the way my father loved me. You won't say it out loud, you're far too proud, but it's plain to see how his demons follow you just like they follow me. Between the three of us, there's a lot a steady hand and a habit of getting oh so sad. But our Father loved us when he could not love himself. He put his faith in us when he was certain he would fail. So when the world has been unkind and doubts weigh on your mind, try and love yourself the way our Father loved us. Like licorice and tobacco and spearmint gum, when the worry's coming for you, you better run, run, run. Well, there's a ghost of a man at the back of every hall that I sing, and he's a braggart. He claims his daughter could do anything. I wanna be just like him and nothing like him at the very same time. And my Father loved me when he could not love himself. How he believed in me when he was certain he would fail. So when the world has been unkind and darkness weighs upon my mind, I try and love myself the way my Father loved me.
That's it. That's my dad show. Again, my name's Rachael Kilgour. Thanks so much for coming tonight, and please do send your people my way.